And after another hellish morning, we have wound up at Comic-Con. This time, we're in a line. Something we thought we'd never have to do as press.
Also, the guy from Game Trailers.
We're still a bit starstruck, though I'm not sure how anyone from that show you watch could ever be a star.
Well, I'm not saying a star, so I feel important now.
You're not. At this point, we've passed around to about 4 different people at the Ubisoft booth.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get an interview. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
You guys don't come back after like at 2:45 or 3-ish? Because they're about to be doing a raffle.
Alright, so what's the game you're here for?
Sonic and the Black Knight.
Alright, tell us about it.
Sure, it's the second chapter in the Storybook series. It's a Wii exclusive. It follows Sonic and the Secret Rings. Sonic and the Black Knight is a great game. The unique feature of it is the sword play. You can slash with your Wiimote. Coming out March 3rd.
March 3rd?
Yep.
Alright, so what separates this from the Secret Rings that came out before?
Say that again?
What separates from the Secret Rings that came out before?
So the Secret Rings was based on Arabian Nights. Sonic and the Black Knight is based on King Arthur and the Round Table.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
I'm here with
Jake DeJanel from Topware Interactive. We're the worldwide IP owners and worldwide publishers for X-Blades, Gaijin Entertainment developer that's being licensed to South Peak Games here in the United States.
So why don't you tell us a little about the game?
What was that?
Why don't you tell us a little about the game?
Okay, the game follows the exploits of Ayumi. She's a treasure hunter for profit. Basically, she goes into these old temples, pilfers artifacts, and then sells them for profit. During the course of her exploit, she stumbles across one item that she's not able to sell. However, in the process of selling one, she finds another piece of it. Long story short, it turns into a map. She falls to this temple where she's cursed and kind of goes through this journey through the temple to uncurse herself and stuff like that. It's a really classic kind of anime, almost tribute storyline to the really simplistic, or not simplistic, but real, old school anime manga kind of storylines. Obviously, artistically, it's in-game and cinematics are both kind of a tribute to that anime styling. In-game, she's obviously cel-shaded with a fully rendered 3D, really detailed environment. However, in the cinematics, it's purely cel-shaded with a very classic anime kind of manga feel to it. Excuse me.
No problem.
In terms of the artwork, it was developed by Gaijin Entertainment, which is a Russian development studio. They're really famous for a lot of their sim games. The IL-2 Flight Simulator is the one they're most famous for, which won Simulator Game of the Year a couple years ago. They wanted to do something fun a couple years ago, and they were all really big anime fans, so they decided to do this one, and it's kind of a tribute to what they really love coming up. The game was actually released under the title Oni Blades in the Russian market, where we found it at GC Lyon 2 years ago and signed it for worldwide release. We went back through the game, funded them to redo the engine to make it a little bit more sophisticated. They added a ton of new levels. We redesigned Ayumi, especially her facial structure, noticeably and stuff like that. So there has been some moderate changes to the game. And then in terms of depth of gameplay and fluidity and frame rate and everything like that has increased dramatically over the original release. So we're now getting ready to release it. It's coming out this Tuesday to the 360, PS3, and PC. The original concept for Ayumi in and of herself is they wanted to put like a Russian model in kind of an anime setting. So this is the developer's idea of what a Russian would look like in an anime movie. So that's kind of the birth of Ayumi and everything like that. Obviously, the over-the-top outfit with the G-string and everything like that is kind of another one of those, Dead or Alive kind of, like really classic cheeseball, over-the-top sensuality kind of thing. We do offer a couple alternative outfits during the game when you start it. You can choose one where she's wearing full bodysuit or one where she's got a little bit of armor and stuff on to make it a little bit more realistic as she's fighting through dungeons. She has armor on and stuff. But, it's people ask, how is she supposed to fight through monsters in a G-string? It's like, well, it's a video game, so it doesn't really matter. There also isn't little crab people running around the beach when you go there either. So, anyways, it's a really high-octane game. As far as the battle and everything goes, the combat, we really tried to go and marry the 3 different forms of combat that you find in a hack and slash, the melee, the gun mechanic, as well as the magic. We did that through a very simplistic button layout where there's no sub-menus or anything like that. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to pick up and get a hold of. Once you play for a few, there's a very in-depth little training. The first level is a training, so it kind of gets you familiar with the controls. And then as far as the magic goes, one of the major complaints, at least I personally have with hack and slashes over the years, is the magic system usually feels very very offset from like the melee and the gun mechanics, where you have kind of have one system and another system where they don't really work together very well, especially when it comes to the magic. With the magic pool, you have a set amount of magic, and you either have to have potions or like find some sort of a source of magic or something like that. So you're kind of forced to limit your use of your magical abilities, especially in the RPG-oriented ones, where you spend all this time building up this arsenal of magical abilities, and then don't really get to use them on what it's the best for, is slaughtering waves and waves of just trivial guys. So what we did in this game is we went away from the magic pool system, the traditional one, and went to a rage system, where through combat, through either being struck or striking an enemy in combat, you build up the rage meter, which is then that energy is used to execute magical abilities. So the magic, especially with the area attacks, the weapon augmentation, the form shifts, the direct shots, the AoEs, all these things are really a part of the same combat as everything else, as well as the gun mechanic. A lot of games go with a very simple gun mechanic. We have standard shot, rapid shot, spread shot, giant shot, shotgun shot, multi-shot, ricocheting shot, like all these different ways by which you can engage in the gun mechanic, and they all feed off the rage system. So it kind of ties everything together a little bit more, makes it really feel like a much more fluid system. Now, as far as the game, the length and everything in and of itself, it's a level by level, so as you complete each level, you progress on to the next little dungeon mini-zone area. Some of them are really short, some of them are really long. Some of them will take a couple minutes, some of them will take 15 minutes. There's a number of boss fights throughout the game that increase in complexity as you go along. As you can see, we're running a tournament on one of the first boss fights of the game, which is a very simple one. Towards the end of the game, they become fairly complex. It's going to take some trial and error and everything on the part of the player. As far as overall, there's about 40 to 45 levels currently. We're considering adding some more through downloadable content as we go forward, but that won't be for quite some time. And those 40 to 45 levels take about 8 to 10 hours for the player to complete, depending on skill level and also the level of difficulty that they choose. There's easy, normal, medium, and pro. Obviously, easy is pretty easy. Normal is, for the average player. Hard is quite difficult, and pro is, even for somebody who spends hours and hours and hours for the game, I get my ass kicked every time. So, that aside, all the expected things, especially with the 360 and the PlayStation, such as trophies, achievements, are all going to be implemented. They're all available online already, so players can get a chance to see what they're getting into. With the achievements and the trophies, some of them are real simple, some of them are real hard, some of them are tremendously hard. I mean, we're not talking Call of Duty 4, the 1 minute run of death at the end of the game, which is like insanity, and controllers are broken probably on a regular basis over that. But there is some that do take some time and do take some complexity and do especially take some skill in order to complete.
Thank you, sir. You answered every question I could possibly have about the game. I really appreciate it, sir. Okay, what we're saying again, go ahead.
We'll also be doing, it's Jake from Topware Interactive again, we're also going to be doing, working as we go forward with the Two Worlds franchise. We'll be unveiling Two Worlds of Temptation. Probably look for the first glimpse of that probably around E3 this year is what we're kind of shooting for. Don't make any promises. As well as coming down the pipeline, we're doing, for those nostalgics that may be familiar with the old battle chess from the late 80s, early 90s, we're doing kind of a rebirth of that, the new next generation. It's going to be a fully 3D game that's actually built on the Two Worlds engine, which is one of the most advanced engines around, a proprietary engine. We're going to be building it around that with a full set of battle animations. We're going to be including a number of very advanced chess computer AI simulations. There'll be some online modes as well as kind of an expanded team selection, you could call it. So expect to see more details on that down the pipeline as we get closer and closer and we start to unveil some tidbits and stuff like that. So